Reincarnation. Let's talk about it real quick. When it comes to reincarnation, understand a lot of this is structured or fundamentally coming from belief first. Okay. When you look at reincarnation, there's a few ways we're going to be looking at this. But do you notice how we always talk about you relive the same things here in this waking life if you don't change as an individual? I've mentioned before, if you're in a relationship with a toxic partner, and why I'm going to bring this up is because you're in a relationship with yourself. If you're in a relationship with a toxic partner and you realize that this partner is no good for you and you break up with her, you may find somebody else later on, but you never really did the work on yourself. You just kind of like came at it where you were aware that something outside of you is not right. So you want to change it, not knowing that it still came from within you either way. So you went and got another partner, but you'll notice you repeat the same patterns. And the reason why is because you found the same person just in another body. And this happens through life overall. In order for you to break out of poverty, you would have to change your thinking. In order for you to break out of bad habits, you would have to actually, this is very important. Even addictions mainly come down to lack of connection. And lack of connection with the outside world, but also because of lack of connection within you. Also, your environment is a big influence. They did an experiment on rats where they had them in a cage and they basically had regular water and cocaine infused water or drug infused water. And they went and basically drank this till they basically died. The whole thing is that another scientist came in and said that it's basically probably due to the environment. So they changed the environment and made it literally the optimal living conditions for these rats, where they gave them playtime, they gave them everything you could possibly think of in this space, and they basically completely ignored the cocaine water. And it's because they were preoccupied with the environment, having a good time and having a good living condition. So mainly a lot of the times is your life sucks, so you just want to fucking indulge in this addictive shit. And on top of that, it would come down to you having a little bit of discipline and looking at the root of where things are happening to you, and just start to, and it doesn't have to happen in one shot. You could do this taking baby steps, as long as you're taking baby steps in the right direction. So that's basically a form of a way of changing your environment. Now, I'm going to come at it from a different perspective too, because when you look at this, religion promises you everlasting life. Okay. Now, religion is promising you everlasting life, and they are not lying. They are really promising you everlasting life. If you stay in this negative way of thinking where you are in hopes and you spread this to everybody in a form of mind viruses. You tell people that Jesus is returning. God is returning. Okay. So you're in the hopes. Like I already mentioned, how your most important moment is your now moment. The past doesn't exist. The future is potential for what you're doing now. You're living in successions of nows. You are constantly in the hope frequency that Jesus is going to return. You spread this to everybody else. I've already mentioned how life starts the moment you came out the womb. The world ends the moment you die. Nothing exists. Everything stops. Nothing exists. But from somebody else's perspective, they continue on, but only because you existed. If you didn't exist, they'd cease to exist. So in other words, you were Christ creating in the image of God. That's what was occurring. And those people exist from their perspective because you existed and collapsed them into existence. If I observe somebody die, I'm going to be thankful because they existed. This is why the whole Jesus Christ thing, right? That story is a story about you. Jesus Christ died for the sins of the world. Okay? So we are worshiping this idea that's not yours. None of these thoughts are yours. This is an idea that is part of this program that we have going on here. and it's anthropomorphized in a way so that you could relate and associate with it. You worship this character to the point that some people want to be like Christ. We saw how Christ ended up, right? Christ, Jesus, is the God of humanity. So you're worshiping a character, and you will be enduring the pains, the sufferings, and all that because you are what you eat. You're worshiping a figure of a man who basically died for the sins of the world. Okay? Two ways of looking at it, though. All right? He knows, right, that the person outside of them is himself. Okay? And he died knowing that either way you put it, you can't kill him. He continues on and lives through the rest of people who are here. Okay? Now, that right there is everlasting life. He lives through everybody. So he is omnipresent, lives through the environment, lives through nature, lives through people, lives through things. Yet, man is not aware of that. Man is only aware of the human flesh that they're inhabiting because they're looking at the figure outside of themselves. Okay? Now, the duality part, the polarity of good and evil exists within you because Jesus existed also, right? Now, I'm going to tell you one thing here. Your belief is very important. When you die, you will see Jesus. And you will seek to enter the kingdom of heaven with Jesus. And your wish will be granted, right? You come right back into this existence that you're in here, the world of earth, of matter, right? Why? Because the kingdom of heaven exists within you. So the fact that you are seeking the kingdom of heaven and you're seeking it through a figure outside of yourself, you will come right back out the womb. They said to enter the kingdom of heaven, you have to be childlike, right? Guess what? You're coming right back out into the world as a child again. And you'll do it all over again and again and again. And not only that, but because you were in hopes that Jesus' return is happening, you will come back in here and live that life again in hopes that Jesus will return again. Okay? Because you haven't changed your thinking. You don't have any self-actualization or realization other than your humanity. Unless you overcome the sins of the world, which is the flesh, okay? Then you will just keep repeating the whole fucking shit all over again. Because that's what you believe. And this is why a person who is awakened is very, very powerful, and it's also very, very feared. The whole mind control thing goes very deep, and it starts from the ages of when you're a child. They'll put you in the school systems. You're taught to participate in the system as a cell or like a battery cell to basically cater to the matrix, okay? To work and keep producing and working for the dollar that really has no value. Because you're taught to go to school, you're putting 8 hours of your childhood life every day to basically be programmed to live as an employee for another 8 hours. So you're basically just a battery. And unless you wake up from that shit, you know what I'm saying, take some fucking heavy ass risks, you'll just keep repeating the whole fucking shit all over again. Sometimes the partners we're with is what's keeping us stagnant. Why? That's your shadow. You have not overcame that. And you stay there out of comfort and fear. And most of the time, that is the negative nature. Now, if you're a woman and you're with a man and you're aware of this, you are the one that's the positive and the man is the negative, because the man is in the negative nature. He's in the feminine energy. He's in the dark. Anybody could channel masculine energy. So you would be like, there's women who have let men aware of certain things. That's literally showing the light in certain aspects of the game. Now, the leading, guiding part, that's done through the masculine energy. Obviously, the man is the physical manifestation of masculine energy, and the woman is the physical manifestation of feminine energy, right? But how is it that some people doing black magic can be enlightened by certain negative forces, right? It's so funny how that works. How even in Hollywood, they'll say, oh, they're practicing black magic, and that's how they know the truth. That's how they control people. Well, that's also lack of awareness. If you're doing it for the interest of controlling others, and that's lack of disconnect from self, either way you put it. Negative or positive, you could use positive and use it in a way that's hurting others. Because even that's why the saying goes, the road to hell was paved with good intentions. You think you're doing better by telling people the Christian way and whatnot, and you're just enslaving them further. But in your mind, you think you're doing something good, and it appears to others you're doing something good, but you're not. We're not the flesh. There's much more to this. And if you continue on in the flesh, how would you know what true power is? You're in the flesh. You have limitations. You still indulge in mysteries of the Great Pyramids of Giza, how they were built, right? And there's still 2025, the year 2025 today, and we still have theories about, oh, could it be replicated, right? Can we leave space? All these things that still are, well, I wonder, do you actually with conviction know? Huh? Have you asked God? Have you talked to God? Huh? And notice that when you talk to God, the witness will always be the devil. And when you're talking to the devil, you will always have the witness to be God. Who's that witness, right? And then who is the one who's the one giving the interview? That's all I got for this video. And I will tie other things pertaining to this very topic. What I was going to say is that when you die, you will see Jesus because you believed in it. But you will realize that you're looking at yourself. You haven't met yourself during this living state. And the only way that you could transmute that is not after death, is in the living state. That's the only way you could transmute that thinking. To realize that you're looking for yourself, not Jesus Christ. You look for Jesus Christ after death. Guess what? You will have to continue to keep looking because the realm of creation is here. And your thinking creates your environment, or it could be hell or heaven. So when you enter the kingdom of heaven, when you come out the womb here, you have the opportunity to be in heaven because you create heaven and hell. It's a mental state. What is heaven and hell? Heaven could be what's heaven to one could be hell to another. And you could look at this through animals and whatnot. To a dog sniffing asses all day and fucking peeing on trees could be a heaven-like state. We'll talk soon.